satellites in orbit, but today there are well over 3,000. And that's just the beginning. Private companies are scrambling to conquer space at a rapid pace. SpaceX's Starlink project alone has permission to put 12,000 satellites into orbit. In 10 years' time, there could be at least 16,000 satellites in orbit, 5 times as many as today. The rush to space is driven by falling prices. 25 years ago, payload cost per kilo was 22,000 euros. Today, it costs only 1,000 euros. And those prices are expected to keep falling to less than 100 euros per kilo. No wonder then that more and more companies are looking to the stars.
Data from space will be key to unlocking new technical innovations in the future. Navigation, communication, Earth observation. More satellites are delivering ever more data, a huge market according to this startup in Berlin.
We are convinced that every major industry will be affected during the next 10 years by satellite data. So to give a very precise example, what we can do with satellite data is, for example, monitor infrastructure grids all across the globe, but also monitor mines, monitor agricultural fields, monitor forests, and so on. So really, for every global question, there's an answer from space.
LiveEO evaluates satellite images with the help of artificial intelligence. German rail operator Deutsche Bahn is one of their customers. From orbit, it's possible to see where trees are growing too close to the tracks. It helps safety personnel do their job more efficiently. Data analysis can also be useful for monitoring power grids and pipelines.
We have customers from Australia to Europe, to the US, South America, and so on. Just at the beginning of this year, we've analyzed the entire US transmission network, nearly 1 million kilometers of overhead lines. So really, there's no limitation to what satellite data can monitor in terms of scale, and nearly nothing in terms of scope.
Satellites are getting smaller and cheaper. The company Astrofine has established itself as a supplier in the field. These reaction wheels can be used to steer satellites and align them with the sun. They're packed and released into orbit from boxes like these. The reason that small satellites are starting a revolution is because the barrier to entry is not that high anymore. If you build very large satellites that carry a lot of instruments, it costs a lot of money. But if you make the satellites smaller, miniaturize the components, take advantage of the increase in efficiency, then you can put something into orbit faster with pocket-sized satellites that cost maybe 300,000 euros. And then you can launch your business model. The industry is on its way from the workshop to mass production. Giants weighing tons are turning into smart swarms that provide seamless data, the raw material of the future.
And for more, I'm joined by Walter Pelzer, who is an executive board member of the German Aerospace Center in Bonn. Welcome. First off, can there be too many satellites in space? I can imagine the risk of collisions, for example. Wouldn't that be bad?
Yeah, good morning. First of all, thank you for having me. And you're absolutely right. It's kind of crowded around the globe, and the traffic becomes an issue. And this is a topic we have to handle with agreements. And we are working in intergovernmental agreements with the United Nations to come up with a solution for this topic.
Now, you spoke of multilateral organizations like the United Nations, but the space sector was, of course, once dominated by public agencies. What do you make of the rise of new space startups and private companies getting in on the game?
Yes, actually, the reason why we have this significant change, and we monitor it and we see it for quite some time now, are a few reasons. And in the report, most of the reasons were just mentioned. By miniaturization, it was mentioned that satellites become cheaper, and so it becomes cheaper to enter the business is much cheaper, and the risk lowers. So you don't have to spend millions for a satellite anymore. It's just a question of a few $100,000 or dollars, and launch costs getting lower as well due to the fact that satellites are lighter. The cost for launch is getting easier. But this is only one part why we have this change to so-called new space. Actually, the initial, from my point of view, the initial the ignition of the new space was that NASA changed its purchasing process, that they changed the way how agencies are on the market. Up to now, and this is something we in Europe have to do as well, at least from my point of view, is that agencies in the past actually said exactly what they want to have and they gave an order. And NASA changed this process a little bit, that they ask now for a service. So they create a market, they say, okay, we are willing to buy some kind of service, for example, some launch service for so many millions or billions. And now it's up to the private market to come up with offers. So everybody can actually step in and to say, yeah, okay, we can offer you a solution for the question you have, for the service you are asking for. And this is a completely change in the process.
So it sounds like you are for Europe opening up more to private companies. How is Europe doing as a competitor in the space race relative, say, to the US or China?
Well, to be honest, I think we are maybe not in the first row, but we are catching up. As I just mentioned, the European space agencies on the one hand side, but also the European industry has to adapt to this new process, to this new processes. And this is on the one hand side. On the second part, which is actually making this transformation a little bit more difficult, is that the size of the market in the US is so much bigger. It's the same in China. In US, we see more than 40 launches per year. Of course, the payloads with more than 40 payloads, or actually a few times as much as 40 launches. The same in China. And in Europe, we have not even 5 institutional launches per year. So the market size is much smaller. So the willingness to invest in a much smaller market is on a lower level. And this is something we have to develop.
Walter Pauser is an executive board member of the German Aerospace Center in Bonn. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
The song is King Soul. The satellite, the sea, left with the feet. The satellite is for me. Everything I see, every photo see, all the seas I see, the 12 monthly, the ocean sea, all the things I see, the satellite for me. Everything I see, I made for me. Everything I padded, everything I noted. All the cameras, all the CD, all the things I told it. Written down, thinking, mesmerizing. The memory of my pen, of my brain, fantasizing. Everything that I see, everything I want. The mining construction made the satellite for foes and friends. Buy a Benz, a Porsche, I get in. Mabase Fe, Houles, Houfe, Toyota, the Dodge, every car. This is not a facade, McLaren like you. Don't say pull up, you like me. The satellite, I made everything so you like me. Everything I see, you like me, hate me. Think about the satellite, the year they date me, relate to me. Millenniums, the decades of many houses, millenniums of money, photography, everything of the earth. What can I say? The sun, Mars, Pluto, Saturn, the satellite, everything. I get it in eyes. I like to see it. Visionly wanna see it. First off, I gotta write it. Believe it. I read it. Everything I say. The book of books. Contemptions every day. Contemptuously. I like to fathom all the things that I wrote. Everything I like to requote, rebook it, retook it, take it, just like a phone with a camera. I like to get it in, everything I say. To see her with the pad of the phone every day. Hear what I say. Everything that you say. The photos, the photography, the cinematic in the photos. Learning for the mining, everything I know those. Photography and record it for the photos. No for foes, no for friends. For the sword I like me. Everything I like from the satellite, she wanna cite me. Recite me, reflect my words. Like a jet, wanna go in the sky. Rewrite my words, I get it in when I write a jet.